The odd clay effigy.
The year
and indeed
is
the odd
1612.
human scalp. The whole idea.
On a cold, lonely road to Colne in Lancashire, a man collapses on the ground, paralysed.
Old Demdike met John Law.
He is a roadside peddler from Halifax, called John Law, and a beggar called Alison Davis is accused of harming him through witchcraft. This is how the story of the Pendle Witches began. Alison is taken to Lancaster Castle with a group of other people, accused of being witches, and all but one of them are hanged.
You're a witch.
Marsden Heights and St Augustine schools are on opposite sides of Pendle Hill, and the schools have been working together on this project. We've been investigating the myths and truth behind the story.
To find out more about one of Lancashire's lost legends.
We've decided to try and find out as much as we can about the Pendle Witches, so we're going to go to many different places and museums and things, find out what we can.
Living in this area, we're surrounded by stuff to do with the witches. My school bus has got a witch on it, and we can always see Pendle Hill from wherever we are. And it's the 400th anniversary.
It's so close to us, the Pendle Witches, and we don't really know much about it.
Fiona from the council came to our school and introduced us to the story of the witches.
The people involved came from this bit here.
Because I live in Clitheroe, I'd like to find out more about them.
I went to my grandma's the other day, and she actually brought out a sheet and showed me some of the family history. My granddad's 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 granddad was one of the people who executed witches.
And if they couldn't explain away something because they didn't know about science, what they'd do is they'd think that if something went wrong, somebody had put a curse on them.
We all went to a camping bar near Clitheroe to find out more about the witches. We worked with the drama practitioner, Steve, to bring the story to life by acting it out, and we listened to a storyteller.
We're in a bar in Clitheroe, just near lots of hills. Pendle Hill is up here somewhere.
It's good. Getting into the Halloween spirit as well with grisly food downstairs and stuff.
One of these witches was begging and ended up having...
We were learning about people betraying and blaming it on the weakest one. So that's saying that's like bullying or the odd one out.
Weakest person would actually be called the scapegoating, and that would mean that they get blamed for everything.
They probably admitted to witchcraft to try and get some attention.
But that don't make me a witch, said Janet to herself in the prison cell. Just because I wanted to live in a nice warm house and have enough to eat. That didn't make me a witch.
And these three freeze frames are going to be a beginning, a middle and an end from the story of the witches.
It's that the judge has decided his punishment for the witch.
St Augustine's practiced their listening skills and interviewed members of the public who live locally to find out what they know about the Pendle Witches.
And it's not just your job to get answers out of people, it's your job to engage with them.
Action.
Hi, my name's Liberty and I'm a pupil here at St Augustine's, and we've recently been undergoing a project involving the Pendle Witches. Have you heard anything about the Pendle Witches before?
I have heard of the Pendle Witches, yes.
On a day out or something with my parents, and they'd said oh, Pendle Hill witches lived up there.
I only know of how they used to check if you were a witch. They used to tie you and put you in a pond.
Well, I think growing up locally, you do tend to know about them. You do tend to hear a lot, especially when you can see Pendle
just
all the time.
The ways that they used to treat people, the ridiculous things they used to do, they just used to accuse.
Thank you for your time, and it's very much appreciated.
You're very welcome.
That'll probably help a lot in our project.
Good.
Thank you. We visited the judges' lodgings in Lancaster and saw where the judges stayed.
Now this was the actual classes approved kitchen.
And looked around at Children's Museum and Witches' Room. After a picnic lunch, we had a tour around Lancaster Castle.
We weren't allowed to film in some of it as it's still a working courtroom, but we looked around and saw where the witches would have been kept in the dungeons.
How the witches were caught, and then they were brought to the cells, and what happened, how they came up to the rooms where they got the sentence.
And it must have been an extraordinary moment in the trial when that main witness for the prosecution appeared, because as you know, it was that little 9-year-old girl, Janet Davis.
Found out about who was hanged, and what were they in court for and what the punishment was.
We looked around the cells, the chains they used to have, the torture machines.
Chains on the wall you see here were used on prisoners. And can you see how they would have been used? If you look at them closely.
There were 5 prisons, wasn't there? Yeah, we went in one. It was dark. It was scary. The only witch that died in being held was Old Dem Dyke.
Marsden Heights had a weekend away at the Whitehall Activity Centre. We made art with Keris and like graffiti photos. I went to see where Malkin Tower is meant to be with Simon. We also acted out scenes from the witch's story with Steve, then interviewed each other and interviewed Steve too.
What have you been doing with the group today?
The main purpose of working with the group is to explore the story of the Pendle Witches. But we've also been doing some fun drama activities as well. But I think there was such a lot of coincidence that went on.
Okay, sir. Please give me some hints.
And things that we couldn't really be certain for those reasons.
What's happened?
Those witches cursed me.
What did you do yesterday? Well, we had an artist who came in and we made some witches out of like natural products.
We've put words in, and the words were supposed to express what we felt were the real reasons why the witches were hung, so it wasn't necessarily to do with witchcraft or evil or any of those kind of things. It was more to do with poverty, intolerance, lack of education, superstition, all those sorts of things. We've been out in the woods already gathering some natural materials to lay out words on the floor, represented the places where the story happened.
We went on a tour with a man called Simon and he showed us the supposed Malkin Tower.
So basically, folks, you've come to see Malkin Tower. That's where it was. But because of the health and safety issues, they've had to bury it again. His word filtered down to Reed Hall, where Roger Noel, the local magistrate, lived, and he said, I want all these people arrested immediately.
Marsden Heights visited Clitheroe Castle and found out more about the witch's story and drew what we thought the witches might look like. We learnt about places where some people think there are still witches today in Nigeria.
What do you think happened to John Law? He's paralysed and unable to speak. A stroke. A stroke, so we think it might have been a stroke. But we don't know. We don't know, okay? I asked you, in your individual groups, to draw a witch. And you all drew the same witch, more or less.
Is that witch?
No. Her family believed that she was a witch. She lived in Africa. They threw her out of her village. Nobody fed her. Nobody spoke to her. 8-year-old Mary deemed as a witch.
Did she scapegoat them?
We all went round the Pendle sculpture trail with one of the artists, Philippe.
It was really muddy and it was all drenched. He showed us all these different things he made that linked with the Pendle Witches.
We found out lots more about a charity called Stepping Stones who work with people accused of witchcraft today.
They have different skin, different clothes, different words that they use, different ways of behaving. They're different, and if they're different, they're dangerous.
He was telling us about all his experiences of witch doctors and things like that he'd experienced and what his own interpretations were as well.
How the 1612 witches links the ones today. He said that history is about finding out who you are today as well as in the past.
This man would go to a village where maybe a child had died. He would find somebody, usually a woman living alone, maybe her husband had died years before, and he would go and he'd say, I'm a witch doctor, I have powers, I know you are the witch, and I will tell the rest of the village, unless you pay me.
Dr. Poole told us more about the story of the witches, and we had a party to celebrate working together on this project.
He showed us some pictures about the people and told us the stories of Old Dem Dyke, Chattock, about the family and about Alison, James.
Poverty, were they persecuted because they were poor? Religion, was it because of religion? Science, was the Lancashire Witches anything to do with the decline of superstition, so-called, and the rise of science? We could start with the Lancashire Witches and then every big topic in social history linked to it.
Tell me one thing that you'll never forget about this project.
The way they were executed in front of a full crowd, so that was rather shocking.
We've been to a lot of different places, learned a lot, and I know a lot more about the Pendle Witches now.
It's good to know where you come from, whether you're born here or live here is still something that people should have a wide knowledge of.
It's the heritage of our area, so it's good to know about these kind of things.
They got hung for nothing because people weren't educated at that time, so if something bad happened, they'd blame it on the weakest one.
You expect them to be the stereotypical witch. A lot easier to imagine now who they really were instead of just what everyone might think.
It tells us about our history, how 400 years ago this all happened, and this can relate to us at the moment because people are being accused of being witches.
My little brothers and my cousins, I spend a lot of time with them, and I think it would be good to share what I know with them now because it is something that's interesting.
It makes you intrigued about what happened and it's really exciting.
I think no one will ever know the truth, but it's kind of everyone's interpretation from it, and I think even at the time it was everyone's interpretation. I don't think much has changed.